Yeah. Okay. So I think we should be live now. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Uh, First live stream from the Master Puppets in ages. And today, guys, I am joined by Alex Rock from Rock On Beer, another fellow beer blogger here in Denmark. And he's, I guess you'd say, an expatriate. He's American. So an American living in Denmark, talking about beer here. So yeah, welcome, Alex.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. So how long have you been doing your blog?
Um, yeah, the blog has been going for about 3 years now. I started out probably like a lot of the bloggers, just reviewing, stuff from the supermarket.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, and when I first moved to Denmark, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't work, and I couldn't go to school or anything. So I just started blogging about beer, and yeah, now it's kind of ballooned into almost full-time thing.
That's pretty cool. And you do like homebrewing stuff, and your blog, you have much more stuff going on than me. I just have my little old YouTube channel and then the Facebook page and stuff like that. But you also do like regular blogging where you write, and then you also have the YouTube channel,
Yeah,
right?
well, I got the YouTube channel. Uh, I started it around the same time I started the blog, and with the intention to start doing video reviews and some homebrewing stuff, and then it just got to be that I was really busy at that time, so it was just easier for me to write when I could rather than have to. I mean, you know that sometimes it takes a lot of setup to get a video going.
Yeah, and
So
editing and all that.
but yeah, lately I've wanted to get more into video, so I've started to do some reviews, and I've started to record some brewing sessions, and I'd like to start doing some longer, more kind of in-depth, some brew videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's like, because I usually mainly do reviews, but what we're going to be doing today, guys, is that we're going to be doing a little review, traditional Master Prophet style, and then we're going to be talking a little bit, because Alex knows a little bit of both worlds, so to speak, because he's from the U.S. and now living in Denmark, so he knows a lot about, both the beer scene, and it's Michigan you're from, right?
Yeah, Michigan. Yep.
So the beer scene there compared to ours in Denmark, which is actually quite different. So
Yeah.
I think we should just get on with the review, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Great.
Well, the beer we have to review for you guys today is the Rogue Shakespeare. Well, it's the title of the whole hangout. The Rogue.
Yeah, no surprise.
Yeah, no surprise. Shakespeare Oatmeal Stout. Have you had this before, Alex?
Yeah, I've actually had it a couple times, but only on draft. So I've never had it from the bottle before.
Well, I've never had it. It's rare that I pick up Rogue beers, but this was just a beer we both could get, and we thought we should do an American one since Alex is from America.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna be this one for me. Rogue, yeah. Sometimes hit and miss. Some are pretty good, some are not.
Yeah,
Kind of
I
depends.
I have the same thing with Rogue. They're kind of seen as this really big craft brewery in the U.S. and while they are a really big craft brewery in the U.S., but I mean a lot of people talk about their beers and I don't know. Yeah, I've had a lot of disappointments from them. I think they're a little overrated.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I'd agree on that. But they were like a pioneer, I guess, back in what was it,
Yeah, they
since
really are. I mean, that's the thing is that they were doing it before anyone else. But this is actually one of the beers that I like from them. So
Oh, nice. Well, it's an oatmeal stout on 6%. That's one thing that bothers me with Rogue beers is that they don't say the ABV on the bottle. You have to go online and look for it.
yeah, that's I was looking for it before we started, and I thought that wow, that's weird that somebody didn't even put like a sticker or anything on it because it just has the Danish return sticker on it.
Yeah, that's it.
I
Which is
thought
strange because usually a lot of breweries and stuff have to do that here, I think.
yeah, there's usually like a little sticker on the side that says what's in it in Danish and what the alcohol is.
Yeah, but well, basically, they, as all road beers, they give out the entire recipe like on the bottle. It says ebony in color with a rich creamy head and earthy flavor that comes from oats and a mellow chocolate aftertaste. So I say we should get it open and poured.
Yeah.
Check it out. Get some beer in the glass. Whoa, it sounds very well carbonated. Big hiss on my bottle, at least. See here, it's been a while also since I've done like up close pours. I usually edit that out of the videos. That looks nice though, this here.
Yeah, it definitely looks.
I think this is also like an older beer. I think they've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, I think
You
that
guys
this
can comment on that if you know watching, because I'm not entirely sure.
no. What?
Brewing is one of those breweries that's been in Denmark for a long time, but came in and out. Like it was a while that we couldn't get their stuff, but it looks nice.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly got a nice head on it.
Yeah, it's like a black color. I mean, I have a light behind me, and pretty much no light coming through. Nice kind of black color, frothy white head. Let's check out the aroma on it. Yeah, it smells like an oatmeal stout. It's got that sweetness from the oats, I feel like.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than like yeah, the roasted notes are kind of hidden a little bit under there.
Yeah, but I mean, it smells almost English more so than the typical American oatmeal stouts. It's not as big and bold. It feels more mellow and oatmeally, toasty, roasty.
Yeah, but I still get just a little bit of that Cascade hopping in it.
Yeah, I don't know how old this bottle is. I don't even think they state. I don't even think there's a before date on the bottle either.
Yeah, if I remember that, I know for sure that this has been hanging around all summer in my local beer shop. So
I think it's been at my local beer shop for over a year. It's one of the beers that's been on the shelves and just, I skipped it.
yeah, that's one of the weird things about Rogue here too, is that you just kind of pass it over because it was really common at one time.
Oh yeah, but it smells, nice enough. OT, slightly roasty, maybe hints of chocolate and stuff, but very, I feel like mellow and balanced. Again, English type almost.
Yeah, there's not a lot of nothing really aggressive coming out of it.
No, but you want to give it a taste?
So,
Cheers.
cheers.
That is very sessionable.
Yeah, it's definitely got that oatmeal smoothness.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like super big and bold. I'm getting more roasty flavors on the flavors instead of compared to the aroma, but it feels to me, I don't know why, but it just reminds me of something like Samuel Smith's oatmeal stout.
Yeah, it's really like it's not like the word I would always use for some of the American stouts is kind of aggressive. That the taste is kind of a little bit more aggressive than the English ones, and this one definitely has more of an English character to it. That it's kind of balanced and reserved.
Yeah, but the oats give off a nice mouthfeel to it though, like a medium, I'd say, but without being super coating, and as in some big other American stouts.
Yeah, I mean it's still really drinkable without being like super thick.
Yeah. To me, it's like a beer that would be nice if you went to a bar or something, get a pint of, and then sit and slow down because it's like easygoing, kind of sessionable, even though it's 6%. But it's nice. It's like you get some of those roasty, slightly coffee flavors, chocolatey, without being super in your face. Kind of like a good starting point, actually, for like a stout type beer, I think.
Yeah, this would be like a great way to get people into like stout because it's not a huge flavor and the mouthfeel is really nice on it, so it's not really super thick like some of the bigger stouts can get.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Like you're drinking dark bread.
Yeah, well, you being from Michigan, you probably had Founder's Breakfast Stout numerous times. That's an oatmeal stout too, right?
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite stouts probably like top 3.
Well, it is really good. I've had it a few times. It's been in Denmark before, but not at the moment. And also, hi to the 6 viewers watching at the moment. If you have any comments or anything, let us know, or any questions.
Yeah, hi.
But yeah, I like compared to something like that, Founders Oatmeal Stout. This doesn't really is like no way near as good in my mind. But that is also a pretty high benchmark, and that's more new school than this, I think.
Right, because also that one has more depth of flavor because they add bitter chocolate and coffee to it too.
Oh yeah, that's right. And that gives like some other nuances. But again, I'd say like a good comparison beer to this would be something like the Samuel Smith Oatmeal Stout.
Yeah. I mean, they're very similar. I just had that recently again, and they're. I would say that I've heard people say that like this one, Rogue Shakespeare Stout and Samuel Smith's are the kind of the style specific oatmeal stouts that everyone kind of bases their oatmeal stouts on.
Yeah, because it's pretty much dead on style-wise.
Oh yeah, for sure. And in fact, I think that if you probably go into like the BJCP, the style guidelines, they probably list Shakespeare Stout under one of the notable beers for the style.
Oh yeah, most likely. But it's a nice beer, but you're not pulling as much flavor out of it as you do with a whole lot of other modern interpretations of the style.
Yeah, but like you said, it's pretty sessionable, and I got a little nervous when I saw that it was a bomber. That I hate opening bombers of stouts because it's always like it just takes forever to get through them. But yeah, this one is actually pretty drinkable. I don't think that I'll have any trouble, finishing off this bomber. Probably.
Oh no, me neither. It's been a while since I've drunk a bomber by myself too. Bombers, we do, that's the thing with Denmark as well. We don't really do bombers. It's either like 500, like half a liter bottle, or a 12-ounce bottle.
Yeah.
Or sometimes 750s, but that's only like occasionally.
Yeah, and those are mostly, they're either some kind of sour beer or some kind of Belgian beer.
Yeah. But yeah, I like it. I think it's a good beer. It's something I could definitely drink a good amount of, just because it is, so sessionable. So rate by for me, I'm gonna go like on my 100 scale. I'm gonna go like an 82. I mean, it's dead on style-wise and all that, but you could just get more interesting new school beers, I think. Or
yeah, I agree almost completely with you. I would give it my scale is 1 to 10, so I would give it an 8.
Yeah, that's like the same almost.
Yeah, it's completely good on the style. It's really nice to drink. I would drink it again.
Mm-hmm. So. It was decently priced for a big bomber of American beer here in Denmark. I think I paid like 70 kroners.
Yeah, I paid 70 exactly.
So I think that's a decent price. So yeah, guys, that was kind of the beer review. So now we're going to get into the whole talk about, America versus Denmark and stuff like that. And if you have any input or any questions or anything, feel free to either shoot them at our Twitter accounts. I have a Master of Hobbits Twitter, just at Master of Hobbits. And what is yours? It's at Rock on Beer, right?
Yep, at Rock on Beer.
Or feel free to comment on YouTube or Facebook. I'll try and keep check on both, on all those platforms. Because usually sometimes YouTube will update and stuff like that. But yeah, so Alex, you coming from Michigan in the U.S., there are some pretty big differences in beer culture, right? Just compared to Denmark and U.S. in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest differences that kind of really, I don't know, it kind of really affects all the other differences is kind of the age difference of people who are into craft beer or who kind of identify themselves as, craft beer enthusiasts. I was really surprised. I mean, when I got of drinking age and maybe even a little bit before, in Michigan, just even a crappy bar would have, Two Hearted IPA or Founders Centennial or something on tap. It wasn't all just Bud Light, and so I kind of got started drinking, pale ales and IPAs and kind of craft beer.
That's nice.
Yeah. And I didn't realize until I've been here 6 years or so, and I was pretty shocked that everybody was kind of, when I was in university here and stuff, that it's just all crappy Pilsner, drink as much of it as you can to get drunk, and it's actually people that are like in their 40s and 50s and up who are the quote unquote beer enthusiasts.
That's what the organization is called here, the Danish Beer Enthusiasts. And when people think about it, they think like middle-aged men and their wives sitting enjoying beer. I guess.
Yeah. I think that in the U.S., a lot of younger people get into it really early on. Like, a lot of college kids, they start to like, nicer beer when they're in their early 20s, and then, they just continue that on. They, if they go to the store, they'll buy an IPA over a macro lager. But I think that that's also the second biggest difference would be it's the price that really affects everything.
That is the biggest difference. Because I know a little bit about how the whole culture in the U.S. goes with the beer, just because I went there on exchange. And that was the biggest shock to me beer-wise was the prices. Mm-hmm. Craft beer in Denmark is quite expensive. And Denmark in general is expensive. Scandinavia is expensive.
Well, just for instance, you said that this costs 70 kroner, which is what, $13?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, this probably costs
$12.
Yeah, this probably costs $6 in the U.S.
Well, that then kind of makes sense because of import taxes and all that.
Yeah, and the 25% sales tax here.
Yeah. Well, the thing with the prices on like most, I guess you could categorize the Danish beer market on the shelves into like two different categories. There's the supermarket shelf stuff, and then you have the more specialty store shelf stuff, where you have to go to like wine stores or bottle shops. Yeah. The few bottle shops there are here, not too many, but to get the stuff, and the price range varying between those two are huge.
Yeah,
just on the Danish beer.
Oh yeah, for sure, and they never cross over either. I mean, if you go to a big supermarket in the U.S., you'll see a lot of even small craft breweries with beer on the shelf.
Yeah.
Where in here, I mean, nothing crosses over between supermarket and.
Yeah.
For the most
part. That might also be depending on where you live in the country.
Yeah, that's true also.
I mean, I live in the most northern part, northern Jutland. Well, not the northern part city-wise, but the northest region. And you live on Fyn?
Yeah.
So those are not like known for beer meccas.
What's that?
Those two regions are not known as beer meccas.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, the biggest beer area is obviously Copenhagen.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think that some people are trying to change that. I think that's changing, slowly but surely.
But it's like baby steps compared to a lot of other places. But then again, America has been doing the beer revolution for a whole lot longer than Europe.
Yeah, because I mean, the craft beer revolution started in Denmark in 2006, 2007.
Yeah, something along those lines.
So it's only been a little while compared to the U.S., where it's been going on for arguably probably 20 years or so.
Yeah. But that's one of the big differences as well as like selections. I mean, I don't think there are many places in the U.S. where you can go and you can't get any craft beer. Well, maybe some small town or something like that.
Yeah.
But most places you can get something from maybe a bigger craft brewer, something like Stone. I mean, they're almost everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's quite
In
different.
Michigan, yeah, Founders and Bells are, everywhere. I mean, there's even some like really, country dive bars where you can still get a bottle of Dirty Bastard or Two Hearted if you wanted to, if you didn't want to drink Bud Light or Killian's Irish Red.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's pretty interesting. But as we talked about prices, like that's a big difference, like compared to Denmark and U.S. Like beer wise, and mainly here is taxing and stuff. But that's one of the things I like here mainly is that when like Danish beer makes it to the U.S., like people are just astounded by the prices. Like Mikkeller stuff, or for instance, because that's probably the brewery that makes most beer that makes it to that side of the world.
Yeah.
But the fun thing though is like most of those beers are very similar priced here.
Yeah, that's a perfect. My best friend lives in Brooklyn, and he had Mikkeller Beer Geek breakfast for the first time when he visited this summer. And then he just sent me a picture yesterday. He was at a bar and they had it on tap, and it was $11 for a small shaker pint, which is basically exactly what you would pay here in Denmark.
Yeah, and
So
people are usually saying how expensive it is. Yeah, but I think that's mainly because of a lot of the import, no, well not import, the taxation on making stuff in Denmark.
Yeah, exactly.
Because taxes are crazy here. So that's a huge difference. And I also think, as you talked about, the college crowd is what is getting into, and like you yourself got into, like beer in college. I think that's a difference in Denmark as well, because in college here, you don't get into craft beer and stuff like that just because it's so expensive, because you're on a budget.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very few college kids who drink it. There are, of course, a decent amount. I'm not saying there are no college kids
Yeah, and I
drinking.
think it's going up too.
Beer. It is going up. Maybe I know a lot more people now who appreciate stuff like that from college compared to when I started getting into it. But it's kind of interesting. I really think the price factor is one of the biggest things.
Yeah, that probably is the biggest. Yeah, price and availability too, because like you were talking about, even though Aalborg and Odense are not known as beer meccas of Denmark, there's still a decent selection here because they are big cities by Danish standards. But I mean, there's a lot of places in Denmark where, yeah, you can't get any craft beer at all.
Yeah, except maybe the stuff you can get at Fakta and some of those supermarket type places. We have our first question, by the way.
Oh, cool.
From Joey Burks, and he asks us if we can talk about Stone Brewing opening in Berlin in the future and what we think about it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
That is quite different
for a lot of what's that?
I'm sorry, I interrupted you talking.
Oh no, I just think it's a really cool thing that they want to do, and I'm hoping that it'll open the door for a lot of other American breweries to do something similar.
Mm-hmm. I know Brooklyn Brewery has been in talks of opening a brewery in Sweden for a while.
Yeah, in Sweden. Yep.
I don't know if it's
Brewed is opening in Copenhagen, kind of.
Oh yeah, the brew pub War Pigs.
Yeah,
with actual American barbecue and not Jensen's Bøfhus and stuff like that. But yeah, that's one thing that's pretty cool. I think it's going to be awesome. I know there was a whole mess of different opinions on Stone opening overseas, and people were talking about losing jobs and stuff like that. But I think it's really cool to see something like that growing, craft beer growing, because you could at one point get Stone in Europe. Well, you can still get Stone some places. I know you can get it in Sweden once in a while.
Yeah, in Sweden.
We used to get it sometimes here. But the thing is, when it makes its way over here, coming all the way from San Diego, it's old.
Yeah.
And Stone is known for the hoppy beer, so that's why I think this Berlin brewery is going to be great. Maybe we would be able to get a bottle only a little more than a month old instead of 4 months old. So
Yeah,
that's hugely a big difference.
right. That's the perfect example that I don't think a lot of people understand is that there's a huge demand for American craft beer here, but a lot of people get burned on buying it because it comes here and it's, I mean, it might take a month or two to actually get to here, but it might be a month or two old already. So, I mean, I've had so many really bad American like IPAs and stuff that are just completely dead by the time they make it here.
Yeah, same thing here. And even stuff you had before, fresh, having it again over here.
Yeah.
Like when I was in San Diego, it's just such a big difference.
Right.
It's great. I remember first time I bought a bottle of, for example, AleSmith IPA, and I was here in Denmark, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And that was before I had a lot of, super fresh beers. Then actually trying it fresh at the brewery is just so different, especially when it comes to stuff like IPAs. I mean, if you send over a barrel-aged Imperial Stout or whatever, doesn't matter. But there's just something with that freshness that is, and it goes both ways, I guess. I mean, when we send stuff over to the U.S.
Yeah, I always wonder about like if I go to when I'm visiting home, I go to some nice beer store or liquor store or something, and I see the Mikkeller, and I see the like Nonu beers on the shelf, and they got a nice layer of dust on them, and the person who finally does buy that for like $14 for a 33 centiliter bottle, and I mean, what do they think about that it costs so much and it tastes so crappy because it's just been sitting around for so long and it took so long to get there?
Yeah.
I think that it ruins a lot of people's first experiences with certain beers.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's certain beers and styles, of course. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to Stone opening, and I'm definitely going to try and make a trip down to Berlin because I mean, you can get flight tickets if you're in Europe, flight tickets around Europe. If you're like fast and quick to get the tickets, you can get them like fairly cheap. So I at one point definitely want to go visit, and hopefully also, as we talked about, that's gonna make Stone more available in Europe. And I think more breweries will follow. I mean, as we said, Brooklyn has been talking about it. And I think some of the bigger breweries craft breweries might follow.
I know that Green Flash has been doing some brewing in Belgium, and some of their beers have been getting here pretty fresh. I had a pallet wrecker a couple weeks ago that was only about 3 weeks old, so that's pretty cool. I mean, even if breweries were just to do some contract brewing down in like Belgium or something, just so that their beers could get here fresh. Because I think the market exists for it.
Oh, it does. And there's only a few. Well, there's definitely not a few, but there are definitely a lot of breweries trying to recreate what is going on in America at the moment, and some are really good at doing it. But also some are not as good.
Yeah.
I mean, that always happens, but there's just a difference. They're like a little, usually just one step ahead on some things. Like some of the hoppy stuff coming out of like the New England area and stuff like that, and what Hill Farmstead is doing at the moment seems, crazy compared to how we are at the moment. It's like they're a little few steps ahead. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of different like that.
Yeah, I think that there's room for a lot more innovation over there in brewing. I think that just the things that we talked about already, the age of the average consumer of craft beer here and the price of craft beer kind of limits how much you can really play around with it. I think breweries like Mikkeller and Toul and those have gotten away with it because they're not really brewing in Denmark.
Yeah.
So they're actually able to follow the the innovation curve like in the U.S.
Yeah, because not everyone here is into what's happening at the moment in the U.S.
Right. It's quite a small. I mean, if you think about some of the really crazy hyped breweries in the U.S., I mean, there's not as many people that follow them, but I mean, there's just a fraction of that fraction of beer lovers who are actually into it here.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate that the demand isn't for like really new innovative styles and stuff. And that's why all of that stuff lives in Copenhagen.
Yeah, because it's the biggest city is there, and the demand is higher, and just because the amount of people is so much larger than the other cities around the
Yeah.
country. But Joey Morton says, yeah, McKellar beer is hard to find fresh in the U.S. Yeah, basically, what we just talked about. I had an idea that that was the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
But I
it's
think he does some contract brewing over in the U.S. as well. At like Live Flux, he started doing some canned stuff.
yeah, some canned stuff. I got a couple of those cans. Yeah, he started doing some contract in the U.S. I mean, I know that Evil Twin is basically producing
Yeah.
everything in the U.S. now, so that's a lot more fresh over there. But yeah, I think McKellar is too starting to do more contract brewing in the U.S. to get the beers there fresher, because I mean they have a lot of nice IPAs and paler beers. I think a lot of people know McKellar a lot more for their big like imperial stouts and sour beers in the U.S. because I think those are the ones that survive the best to get over there.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. Actually, some of the canned stuff, I can't remember which one I tried, but I wasn't too fond of it just because you could taste it was made in the U.S. I actually prefer the hobby stuff he's brewed in Belgium because then we get it fresher. But
Yeah,
it's cool though that he makes some stuff over in the U.S. So it's like people can try his beers fresher there, especially considering he has the bar in San Francisco.
yeah, yeah, sure.
That makes sense. But we have another question. That's from Joey Burks. Two Joeys are asking questions. Do you guys homebrew? Is it popular in Denmark? Well, if you look at Alex's screen, you can see a kegerator behind him.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, you do homebrew, Alex. I do as well. It's been a while since I've been brewing, but yeah, we both homebrew, I guess.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think don't you brew a little bit more than me?
Yeah, I brew a lot.
Okay,
Almost.
student budget.
Yeah,
Brewing
I just got a home brewing partner recently, and I'm really excited because now I can
That's
brew
awesome.
more, and I don't have to hold on to as much beer because it. Um, one of the biggest problems with home brewing in Denmark, for me anyway, is that a lot of my friends they aren't big into like beer or different beer styles, so it's not like in the U.S. where you can just be like, hey, I brewed some beer, come on over and let's drink it all up so I can brew more. My
Yeah.
beer tends to sit for a little while.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
like
I'm an avid home brewer, and um, I've been brewing for some years now, and it is popular in Denmark. It's
it is.
yeah,
I mean,
not.
I'm a part of the local homebrewers association here. It's been a while since I've been at any of the meetings. Actually, one of the guys lives like 5 minutes away from me, and once in a while I've been out to him for a brew day and have some brews and stuff, and it's fun. But it's nice. But for me, I need a brew partner as well, mainly because of student budget, and then you know it's easier if you're more than one person, especially if you're making like average 20-liter batches. But Jakob and I used to brew a lot when he was around. He's, as you might know, in Greenland at the moment.
Oh,
Still, so that's a factor as well. And then it's just if you get out of the rhythm of doing it once in a while, just need to get back into that rhythm again.
yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of work, and it actually costs. Once you actually get started here, it's actually really beneficial because like we
Yeah.
talked about, especially depending on where you live, it might not be very easy to get a hold of nice hoppy beer. So if you're like a crazy hophead and you're addicted to drinking fresh hoppy beer, I mean, homebrew is kind of the best way to get a nice cheap supply of it. But
For
it is
sure. The bottle price is so much cheaper.
What's that?
The bottle price is so much cheaper when you homebrew.
Yeah, I mean, I brewed a 30-liter IPA last weekend, and we figured out the bottle price. The entire batch was only 135 kroner, I think. So
That is really cheap.
yeah, and I mean it'll yield whatever 30 liters. I don't know. I keg now, so I don't even know bottles anymore. Thank God.
Yeah, I have or Jakob and I have a corny keg as well. It's so much easier.
Oh my God, yeah, so much nicer.
But yeah, homebrewing is fun. I mean, it's a great hobby, but I think I need to get back into it. I just need to get back into a rhythm, and then maybe ask some of the other guys who's been on the show a few times, the other Jarl of Yeast, and well, that's my dad, Duke of Delirium, and all those guys, and get them to. We're actually the chieftain of Mesh, Smith, the guy with the red beard. He brews once in a while as well. But a fun fact, actually, one of the people who got me into craft beer was my dad. I started homebrewing with him back in like 2007 or 8.
Oh, awesome.
When I was in high school. But that was like extract stuff, and then partial grain, and then I kind of overhauled him with the whole beer interest. But once in a while, he likes to, buy some good beers and stuff. He just lives in a city called Bolst, and that's definitely a beer desert. So every time I go visit him, I'll bring some stuff, to review with him. He thinks it's fun, and like I had him try this summer a super fresh IPA, double IPA from La Cumbre, and he was like ecstatic. He'd never had a beer that good, and he loves like bitter and hoppy beers. So that was really fun. But yeah, so I've been homebrewing very much on and off. I don't think like after I homebrewed with my dad, I had a break until like 2010 or 11 until I started homebrewing with Jakob again. So long break. And I actually think I haven't brewed a homebrew myself or with Jakob. We haven't brewed since what? January? This might even be longer. It's been a long time.
Well, you have the perfect excuse to brew once we figure out the Danish blog brew.
Oh yeah! You guys, if you don't know about that, you definitely need to follow on social media, both Alex and I, and it's because we have a thing going. If you follow me on Facebook or Alex, you've probably seen it, but it's called DBB or Danish Blog Brewing, Danish Blog Brewing, or Danish Blog Brew, I guess.
Yeah, I guess in English that would be what it is.
Which is a collaborative efforts between all the Danish beer blogs and trying to get you guys involved into making a beer. And should be cool. So far we've voted for overall style, which is going to be stout. And the voting at the moment is type of stout. And we're keeping it like non-imperial just so it could be done before New Year.
Yeah. And just a little inside information for anyone who's watching, smoked stout is in the lead.
Ooh, nice. I actually made last year, Jakob and I did a smoked stout where we smoked our own malt over juniper and spruce needles.
Oh, cool.
And it turned out pretty good. It's called was it Viking Port? How was it called? No, I can't remember the name of it. Raid Porter or something like that. The label had like Viking stuff going on. It was pretty good. It was like a Nordic style porter, I think. And just because my dad has a smoker, huh?
Yeah, that would be actually interesting to do if we end up
with smoked porter,
smoking our own malt.
Yeah, it's because my dad has like a small smoker, so we could smoke our own malt in there. It was really cool. But we have a couple other questions.
Okay.
let's see here. Start with Twitter again. It's are you subscribed to Greg's beer reviews on YouTube? And would we like to meet him if we're ever in the U.S.? Do you know who that is?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'm subscribed to him. He's pretty cool. He's like a southern guy doing beer reviews, and like he has a southern accent and sipping on beer. I don't watch it all the time, but usually when he does a beer review of a beer I know, I'll watch it. Because his reviews are like 10, 12 minutes long. I don't have that attention span usually. But he seems like a cool guy. I'd like to have a beer with him sometime.
Yeah, I'm kind of new to YouTube here. I follow a lot of homebrewer channels and stuff, but I'm kind of new to like review channels and that. So
Yeah.
I'd love to meet anybody, sure.
Yeah, have a few beers. I have another question. How much is beer taxed in Denmark? Is imported beer taxed at a higher rate? I actually don't know the import tax on beer.
Well, yeah, and that also depends on if it's from any country in the European Union, it's not taxed at all.
Yeah.
And then outside, it's I think it is taxed, but not very much.
I mean, first of all, I guess you get you no matter what you get, you have to pay the European VAT tax, I think.
Yeah, which is 10%.
Yeah.
And then
there is like
25.
Yeah, there's like I'm quickly checking the price or the Danish tax site, and then it's talking about taxes on beer, but talking about ethanol contents is deciding it, and I'm not going to go into that, but it's a long process, I guess.
Higher tax for higher alcohol beers here.
Yeah, that's right. The higher the alcohol, the more the tax you pay.
But it's actually interesting. Let's say, for instance, like even though an American beer has to be import taxed and then have Danish sales tax added to it, and then whatever the markup for the store, it's actually still usually cheaper than a Danish beer, a Danish produced beer.
Oh yeah. That is quite like different as well, but it's Denmark. Everything here is taxed.
Yeah.
But we're fortunate that we're in Denmark because the taxing stuff in places like Norway and Sweden are a whole lot different, and also because of the whole they have the government monopoly stuff.
Yeah, the system monopoly.
In one way, it's quality control, and in other ways, it's trying to get people to not drink as much, and that's a whole like subject just to do an entire live stream about, because if you remember this summer there was a lot of fuss in Sweden about the new rules for the monopoly about small breweries having to ship their beer all the way to a small warehouse or something like that in far away and stuff.
I just went to Sweden a couple weeks ago and I went to the beer store there to pick up to buy whatever I could, and Systembolaget. And it's crazy how much it's crazy some of the beers they have, and then the fact that they don't have some like I was really looking for some Swedish beers that I knew, and I mean they don't have a lot of the more well-known Swedish beers. They just have whatever the local brewery is, and then just a ton of foreign stuff.
But they have a good selection, though. They've done something new now that you can order or personal import stuff online to your local Systembolag. I think it's something like that. Not entirely sure. But
you can order. You can order anything that's in the system anywhere in Sweden and have it shipped for free to your local.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
But I think that they have maybe Denmark still has the best selection of import, but still Sweden gets a lot of imports that we can. I mean, they get Stone, they get Ballast Point, just Avery.
Divide.
Yeah, Great Divide as well. Actually, a lot of breweries that used to be in Denmark but aren't anymore. I remember when I started coming to, or just shopping at the beer store I used to work at before it closed, and before I worked there, we could get like Great Divide and Avery and stuff like that, and Stone. But for some reason we can't anymore. But still, I mean, just being able, some of the selections here are great. I mean, still, I'm still able to get fruit. No, not fruit. Sorry, the new Sucre barrel aged old ale from the brewery. We can get that in Denmark. That's pretty crazy.
Oh wow. Well, I just went when I went down to get the Shakespeare Stout. I walked in and now there's a whole shelf full of Cigar City beer. So
Yeah, that's nice. It comes in waves here.
yeah, it really does. Like you can go for months, like going into the shop and just be like, oh. Actually, the story's pretty funny. When we were trying to settle on the beer to review for tonight, I went to 3 beer stores and basically the only American beer that was worth drinking in any of those stores was Rogue Shakespeare Stout that we could actually both get.
Both get it, yeah.
And now I went to buy it today, and they've got like Almanac Brewing and Cigar City and just like all this crazy stuff on the shelf, and it just appears overnight.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, we had Almanac here, and I basically just bought everything, we did, and then reviewed it. But it comes in waves for sure. But we're lucky that we have a very good. The store I used to work at was awesome. Ulcom started probably the best selection, second best selection at one point at least in Denmark, like bottle shop wise. Now there's of course a lot more bottle shops and stuff. But luckily now we still have a store called Vinspecialisten. It's a chain. It's around the country. It's a wine store.
Yeah.
And luckily the one we have, the guy who's the owner, he loves craft beer and focuses on it a lot. So he purchases so much different stuff. And he opened up a web shop too called Best of Beers.
Oh, cool.
If you've heard of that one. So because of that, we get a cool selection. I mean, we could get Eclipse beers here.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
Well, they were pricey. Well, yeah, we have another question.
McKellar's web shop.
Yeah, oh yeah. You could at McKellar's web shop. You can buy the entire, or not entire, but a huge selection of, was it 12 different Eclipses?
Yeah, it was 12, and it was what, 2,600 kroner.
Oh, it's up to 3,000 now, I think.
So like $600.
Yeah, but it's 12 bottles of barrel-aged beer. But I'm not that big a fan of the Eclipse series to buy that many of them.
Never had one, so I can't say anything.
Okay. Well, we have another question. What do you, from Max Lange, I don't know if you're Dane or English, Max, says, what do you guys think of the sour beer boom? I think it's awesome. I love sour beer.
Yeah, I love sour beer too. Yeah, I think that it's really cool. It's kind of one of the last places that breweries can innovate. You know, like, I mean, when you really think about it, just about everything has been brewed in kind of the normal styles of beer. And I mean, rediscovering all of going back and finding all of those almost dead sour styles has really kind of injected some excitement into the beer world.
For sure, like Goose, for example, in Germany.
Yeah, I was just thinking it.
I mean, we had some awesome Gooses at CBC. If you watch the CBC's video, actually, the CBC videos, you will have seen Alex before, because we have some drunken footage where we're sipping on some beer and stuff.
Yeah, you will have seen me slurring words and trying to stand upright.
But I think the sour wave is cool. There's a lot of stuff happening with sour beers, like Goses and Berliner Weisses, and just like the whole American sour thing. And I think it's really cool. I can see that some people aren't into it because it's so, a lot of them are, tart and nut or sour. Well, the name states it. And a lot of people are not into that, but I think it's nice. It's, as you said, it brings some new kind of stuff new stuff happening in the industry. Kind of like has happened a little bit with imperial stouts and stuff, with using spices, making like Mexican imperial stouts, like Hunapu and Mexican cake and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's happened with Saison before.
Oh yeah, well Saison I think is still going big. Places like Crooked Stave.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Yeah,
I wonder if we're going to see more of it in Denmark, though, because we don't have many breweries in Denmark making a lot of, sours and stuff like that. I mean, Mikkeller is probably the one that's most well known for it because they do the Spontan series,
yeah,
and they've made some really interesting like sours. Did you ever have
right.
the one made with beetroot? I thought I'd hate it. I loved it. It was awesome.
No, I haven't had that one.
Spontan beetroot.
There's so many of them now. I mean, it's so hard. I try to try any that I can get a hold of, just because they're so weird.
Yeah, they're fun to try. They're just
Yeah,
like
like,
they
I
even
had
did
the
like
coffee
one with
one.
coffee.
The worst thing I've ever had in my life.
The coffee one?
Yeah, coffee lambic.
Oh yeah, I haven't had it, but that sounds weird too. But
You could skip it if you.
we'll do then. But the double blueberry they do, or triple blueberries, are awesome.
Yeah, I had the triple blueberry, I think, at CBC.
Yeah, like huge blueberry bombs. But yeah, I love the sour brew, man. I'm really like Gose is awesome. I think that is so good. I tried quite a few Goses at CBC, and I've had the traditional German one with it, which is with like, isn't it salt and coriander?
Yeah, salt and coriander.
And those are nice too, but something like the one Westbrook does called Gosu with the yuzu oranges. That was fucking amazing.
Yeah,
I really regret I only picked up one bottle when it was available here locally because that was so fucking good.
yeah, I wish I had bought more of it too, because it was available here for a short time, and
Here as
but
well.
yeah, Goza is a great style, and I mean, to think that it was almost completely dead, and I mean, now there's a lot of breweries making it, and I've had actually a lot of people try that don't they say they don't like fancy beer or craft beer, and they try a sour beer, and they actually like it,
Yeah.
because I think that it's more like wine almost than beer, to a point.
I agree with that, especially if you get into the Flemish stuff, like
Yeah,
Rodenbach and Rodenbach Quartier Rouge and stuff like that. The kind of Flemish style sours, those are very vinous.
yeah,
Do you say vinous or vinous?
Venus, yeah,
Venus. Okay. I hear so many different things. Some say vinous, some say Venus, some say vinous.
Venus. Whoa.
Taste wine-like, but
Yeah, it tastes a bit like wine.
yeah. But yeah, I think it's really cool. I tried some really interesting stuff. I think one of the weirdest ghosts I tried was from Seven Sun Brewing in Florida, and I think it's Dunedin they're based. I'm not entirely sure, but they had a beer called something something or else it gets the goes again. From the movie. I can't remember the movie name, but the one where the guy is having the dog put the lotion in the basket, or else it gets the
lambs.
Yeah, right.
Goes again.
Yeah, and that was a gose with cucumber, and that was just crazy. It was refreshing and tart and nice, and actually tasted like cucumber. That was one of those breweries that kind of surprised me as well. They also had like a watermelon Berliner Weiss that actually tasted like real watermelon.
Oh wow!
Crazy. They were pretty impressive in that sense, because usually when you do stuff with watermelon and cucumber, and it's just gimmicky and not well. I only know one cucumber beer other than the or else it gets the goes again that I liked, which was the one that Cigar City did, the cucumber saison. But
oh yeah, I never got to try it, but I've heard it's pretty good.
yeah, but that was really cool, especially the watermelon stuff. But that's one of the things you can do with these like sour styles. You can incorporate so many new things you haven't done before. Especially something like, again, cucumber and watermelon. They're so hard to get flavor out of.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to use so much of it.
Right, and you couldn't make if you tried to put that into a more traditional style like watermelon. I mean, I've had 21st Amendment's watermelon wheat beer, and yeah.
Well, the
It's
Hell Higher Watermelon, or
yeah, hell or high watermelon. I mean,
yeah,
it's just yeah, it would be so much better in a sour beer.
yeah, yeah. I agree with that. I haven't had it, but that's like wheat ales are not my biggest, thing.
Yeah.
American pale wheat ales. Actually, one of the best American pale wheat ales I've ever had is not from America. It's from Estonia.
Okay.
But no, yeah. Again, sours, awesome, loving it. I really hope it's going to happen more here. But I mean, I've done a couple beer. Once in a while, I'll do beer tastings where I'll be talking about some of my favorites in a specific style or whatever, or just some of my favorites. And for the 4th of July this year, I did one for the local Department of Danish Beer Enthusiasts. And I had a sour. I think it was the Almanac. Which one was it? It was an Almanac sour. I can't remember which one. I think it was the one with peaches. Okay, something like aged in brandy barrels.
Ooh.
Wow, people didn't like that. It was too new and too like sour and stuff. It's just like I think it's gonna take a while for people to get into it here, but I think that's an awesome beer. That's one of the best Almanac beers I've had.
I mean, there's some Danish beers. Did you go to? I know that for the beer enthusiast beer festival every
Yeah.
year, Hornbeer always has a bunch of sours.
Oh yeah, They did one. I haven't been to that festival since 2010.
Okay.
But I had their I think it was a raspberry sour or something like that. I can't remember. I think they might be trying some brewers are trying to push it a little bit, but people aren't exactly ready for it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that that's probably why they only release them at the beer festival.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of a side project. But I mean, I think some Danish brewers are kind of playing with it. That actually brings up something interesting. What do you think about this new Nordic initiative?
I haven't really followed up on it, but what is that where they're trying to make new Nordic beers?
Well, yeah, they're trying to. I mean, they're trying to, yeah, make beers more with only Nordic ingredients. And one of the things that they were doing is that they were trying to isolate a true Danish or true Nordic yeast. And
That's
I
pretty
didn't
cool.
know if you did you try any of them. For instance, was it Herslu, the Hyl?
Oh, the ones with hay.
Yeah.
I did. We can get the hay beers from Hasio, but I haven't gotten around to trying any of them. But I don't know. I think it's isolating the yeast and all that stuff, and is cool. And I'm really into traditional ales and trying to. I think that's so cool. It's rare we see it, but reviving traditional stuff.
Yeah.
Something that Dogfish that sometimes does, and whatever.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's so cool. So I think I haven't tried any of the beers in the new Nordic beer thing. Maybe I should, but I think it's cool. I love trying, stuff made with or like ingredients and trying beers that were brewed like beers once like were or how they once were. I remember a beer here did that at one point. Like they're really early beers. They did Ninkasi, I think it was called, which
Okay.
was the recipe. You know Ninkasi, the beer goddess thingy.
Yeah, they got us a beer.
Yeah, and there's like some stone tablets from somewhere in I think it's Egypt or something with like what seemed to be a recipe for beer, and he tried to recreate it and stuff. Stuff like that, I think is really cool. So into it. I mean, whenever I see something that is like says it's trying to be an ancient or traditional ale or something, I'll pick it up because I think it's so fun to try. I didn't know the whole Nordic thing with the beers with hay, but that just sounds maybe a little bit weird. But yeah, I like check them out. They appeared recently, so but
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of rhyming old styles and trying stuff like that. Kind of like Goza,
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
all-
I think it's cool if they can actually find something that tastes nice and can isolate, because there's a really rich beer culture here, and it wasn't always just Carlsberg.
Oh yeah, I mean before Carlsberg appeared, everyone on the local farms would brew beer themselves to
Yeah.
sustain, If you ever get the chance to go to a beer tasting with Christian Skovdal Andersen of Beer here, you should, because he knows a lot about this stuff in traditional Danish beer, and he has some really interesting stuff to tell about it. How Danish beer used to be on farms. Or just like in history books. Carsten Bertelsen is a famous Danish beer writer. He's done books about it as well. But yeah, it didn't used to be all fancy McLagers or shitty McLagers or whatever you call it. And that kind of turns into a new question we have. What percentage of Danish beer is craft beer and other contra mass-produced lagers?
Oh, geez, that's kind of gonna depend on your definition of craft beer.
If we say, well, we have like a few giants in Denmark. We have Carlsberg being the biggest, and then we have Royal Unibrew.
Yeah.
That's also macro. Then we have some of the smaller ones like Harbo.
Yeah, Harbo. Oh,
and then we get into, I guess, semi-crafty territory with something like Tistel and Revsvindingen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they also still like lagers. Well, Revsvindingen makes mainly craft type beers, whilst I think they're also have got something to do with Vestfyn, which makes the beer for the Aldi stores and stuff.
Hang on, I can hear the villagers gathering outside the window.
But yeah, it's hard to define. I mean, if you're
difficult sales, because the crafty, I mean, that whole thing in the U.S. with the craft versus crafty, it was never really a debate here, so it just kind of took over here. So there's a lot of breweries, but a lot of them aren't brewing what you would say is craft beer. I think it's more here. A lot of people call it supermarket beer.
Yeah, I guess that would be a good way to define it. Actually, because something like we say Revsvindingen and Tistel or maybe Skovlyst, those are supermarket beers.
Right.
But they're probably what some Americans would consider crafty. Yeah. Even though something like Tistel, they make the Limfjordsporter, which is awesome.
It's amazing.
It's probably one of the most or the best old style Danish beers around. That's been around for ages before craft beer happened here.
Monday, I drank a bottle from 1988.
Oh, you did that Monday? I did that last year.
Oh.
Actually, I have had the first batch, the 88 batch. Back in the day, I think it was maybe not last year, but the year before that at a Christmas lunch thing with the shop I worked in, Ulkonsortium. One of the owners had 2 bottles of the first batch of Limfjordsporter.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. But yeah, I guess in Denmark you could say supermarket and craft. And then there is also the lagers, or the mass-produced stuff. But then again, there comes another problem. Carlsberg has a craft line.
Oh yeah, Brewers Reserve. Well, technically they have Semper Ardens, Jacobsen, and
now the Brewmaster's Collection.
Yeah.
Which I'd say Brewmaster's Collection, well, that's gateway type stuff. Nothing great. But some of the stuff Jacobsen has done, like their Mermaid Porter, this is pretty good, like malt porter.
They make a nice Bohemian Pilsner, traditional Weiss beer. But I mean, yeah, I would say that if you were talking about the truest definition of craft beer, where it's all handmade, I mean, like all grain, made only for that kind of craft beer segment, I would, man, what would you say, like 5%?
Yeah, something like that.
It's not a lot. It really isn't.
No, it's quite low, and then 5% for a country like Denmark with only 5 million people, or 5.5. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's small, the percentage of craft beer, I guess, but it's growing. So I guess
it's growing, and that's why also, I mean, Denmark is so hungry for, outside brewers. It's getting a lot more common to see as the revolution really takes off, the craft beer revolution in the rest of Europe, you're seeing a lot more of that beer on the shelf from, Italian brewers and German craft brewers and English, especially, brewers in England. It's really starting to come over here because it's relatively cheap and it's really good craft beer and it's fresh.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So it's a little bit of a hard definition to make, like hard distinction, but yeah, craft beer is probably like 5%. I'd say if you say mass-produced stuff is just from the big corporation. Well, maybe they have a definition for it on the was it Dent Union, or how is it, like on the sites that you can see sales and stuff?
Yeah, by definition, I guess it would be probably volume produced.
Yeah, something like that.
Where if you were going by volume, it would be quite a bit higher than that. But even the supermarket brands, they're not very big here.
Oh, no.
Some of the...
Well, a lot of the stuff that sells in the supermarket are usually like small breweries that have maybe a little restaurant attached to it, and then they just have a deal with the supermarket chain.
Yeah, and then they just produce, bottles for the whole chain. You could compare a place like Skobrust. They're in a lot of Danish supermarkets, but they still only have a brewery about the size of, a good-sized brew pub in the U.S.
Yeah.
And the same with Svanica.
I haven't been to Svanica.
I was just there. It's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be, seeing as how they're in all the co-op supermarkets.
Oh yeah. Did you know, by the way, that's on Svanica? That's the one on Bornholm, right?
Yeah, Bornholm. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that Svanica and Beer here is doing a collab with Hell Farmstead?
Yeah, I just saw that.
That is so insane. That's because Sean Hill used to work and brew in Denmark, and he knows from that, through that. So, and Christian, who lives on Bornholm now, the guy behind Beer here, I don't think, well, he does contract brewing, so it makes sense to brew close to where he lives, I guess. But it's so cool that he actually went there to do a collaboration beer. That's not something you hear usually.
For anybody who isn't from Denmark, Bornholm is this tiny, tiny, tiny little island that's off the coast of Sweden, like way out in nowhere. You have to take a ferry to get there, and it's just crazy that someone like Sean Hill from Hill Farmstead would make a beer there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I hope I saw Amager Bryghus posted some pictures of him visiting them. I hope he did a collab with them.
Yeah, I hope so too.
The collaboration beers Amager has been doing for a while now at CBC and stuff has been really good. So
they're fantastic.
Yeah. So we've been rambling on now for a little over an hour. So I think maybe we should wrap it up, guys.
Yeah.
If any of you guys are more interested in like videos like this, let us know. It'd be cool to maybe shoot another video like this and just rambling, or with your guys asking questions or topic, and then or maybe just like we did today, do a beer review and then talk. So that'd be awesome to hear.
It's really fun.
Yeah, it was really fun, and thanks to, I think we at one point we were up at around 15, 16 people watching.
Nice.
So that's nice. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Definitely remember to check out Alex on all the social media jazz, the Facebook, shoot your social media sites and all that.
Yeah, I'm. I guess I'm at Rock on Beer on Twitter and on Untapped. You can find me at Facebook.com/rockonbeer, and then I'm YouTube user /rockonbeerblog, and then my website is just rockonbeer.com, where you can kind of just find everything. And yeah, the YouTube, I'm really starting to get get that going, and I'm going to do some more reviews, and I've got 2 or 3 home brewing videos coming up in the can, and so yeah, give me a follow. I would love to have some more people, and feel free to ask me anything.
And we have a quick last-minute question here. I'm just going to try and get through these. There's like two. What's your favorite bourbon barrel-aged beer? Hard question. On the top of your head, Alex, what is it? What is it?
Black Note.
Black Note. Okay. On the top of my head, I thought Parabola. So that was a quick. And then I don't know. That was probably not a proper definition. We could list them on. Then we would ramble on for ages more. So that's a question for next time. And I'll keep it
depends on the year too. So. And I have to go with Michigan Pride, so I'm going to stick with Black.
I should say something Danish instead then. No. Yeah. But and then we have another question about balanced beer versus experimental stuff. But I guess we could try and do this once more and answer the last few questions there. And if you guys are interested, we'll try and do it again. So yeah, thanks to all you guys for watching, and hopefully some of you guys will enjoy watching this long live stream as a podcast thing if you're out running or something like that or whatever. But fun to do. Thanks for joining, Alex.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for inviting me. I had a blast.
No problem, man. And well, cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Talk to you guys later.